Good afternoon, everybody. Verl Workman here, Big V with Workman Success Systems. Welcome to today's webinar. First of all, I want to thank you all for being here and let you know that I'm excited to share some great information with you on how to future-proof your real estate business and withstand the seismic shift of 2019. And so what do I mean by that? What are we talking about when we're talking about a seismic shift? Well, first of all, I want to tell you that the business is changing, and it's really interesting. So I live in Salt Lake City, Utah, and we watch trends all over the country. At Workman Success Systems, we coach, train, and develop some of the most productive, successful real estate agents and teams in the world. And as a result of that, we're able to see when we start to notice changes or trends in the marketplace. It's one thing to listen to experts predict what's happening. It's another thing to actually see it in the results of the clients that you're coaching. And so what I'm telling you, what I'm noticing right now in the marketplace is simply this: is that we're starting to see properties stay in inventory on the MLS longer. We're noticing that there's a bit of a correction happening in the pricing of properties in some of our major markets. And what that means for the rest of us is that, you know, the market is strong. There's a lot of confidence out there, but it's going to be a little bit harder to sell homes, and you're going to have to get better at pricing your properties if you want to be able to sell them. Otherwise, your listings are going to stay on the market too long, and the amount of money you spend for listings that doesn't sell will be amplified. And so pay attention to what's going on. Stay in touch with us at Workman Success Systems, and we'll continue to help you future-proof your real estate business. I will tell you that as we move into 2019, that we believe that 2019 for most of our teams will be the best year they've ever had in real estate. And the reason for that is when we start to see a shift in the marketplace, when we start to see people, when we start to see agents struggle, they run out of friends and family, they don't know what to do, we start to see them struggle, that creates opportunities for our team leaders to recruit and add to their team by upgrading and top grading the people that they have. And so there's this shift of people moving away from wanting to be regular real estate agents to joining some of our seven-figure teams. And so as we talk about coming into the end of 2018 and launching into 2019, I want you to think strategically about what it is you want to build. What is it you want to have happen in the year 2019 that didn't happen in 2018? What do you want your business to look like? And it all starts by building a plan. You know, can you imagine, I was sitting with my wife last night, and we were talking about doing some remodeling on our home. And so she's been working with an architect, and the architect is giving her variations of different things you can do. Well, we look at the architecture drawings, and we look at the dimensions of things, and we ask questions like, is that really where you want your kitchen counter? Or can you put a double oven there? With all my kids and grandkids, we seem to be needing more and more space every Sunday when we feed the Workman family. And so we're looking at the whole configuration of everything, and I'm looking at the plan, and I'm thinking to myself, could you imagine taking on a project like this and not having a plan? Could you imagine going in to build a home and not have a blueprint first? What would the finished product be like? I have one vision of what I want. My wife has a different vision. And when we explain it to the architect, we come back with a different version. And by going back and forth and making adjustments and figuring out what it is we all want together, we end up with the ultimate program, or the program that works well for everybody. And so when you think about what you want your 2019 to be, you first have to start by building a plan. If you read Stephen Covey's book, 7 Habits for Highly Effective People, he says that you need to begin with the end in mind. So what do you want your business to look like at the end of the year? The second thing he says is he says that most business failures begin with problems in their first creation. And the first creation is the plan. And so if they don't build a plan and they don't think through all the problems they're going to have or what's going to take to get there, then they're more likely to fail. Did you know, and I don't know if you knew this, that you are 70% more likely to accomplish all the goals in your plan just because you simply took the time to write it down? Did you know that? The other thing is that if you don't realize what it's going to cost you to be in business, you don't properly capitalize your business, then you do reactive marketing, meaning you make your decisions based on whether or not you have a closing this month instead of whether or not you've budgeted for what you want your year to look like. On this call today, I'm going to take you through some of the elements of our most successful business plans. I'm going to take you through how to think differently and think a little bit bigger. I'm going to encourage you to engage with me on the chat button. So if you have a question or you want me to spend a little bit of time on something, go to your chat button on the Zoom webinar ID and just click it. Just chat something in there. If you have a question or you have a concern about something, you want me to spend a little bit more time on that, I'll be sure to do that. And the last thing I want to remind you is that to stay on till the very end of this webinar. We're going to make a special offer to you at the very end of the webinar that's going to allow you to take advantage of a really cool opportunity and experience that's coming up in January. So stay on to the end. I'm going to give you some free downloads and tell you about a unique new opportunity. So let's start with your business plan. Where it is you want to go. Where do you want to go in 2019? How many of you have a goal for 2019? Go into the chat button real quick and just type in what your goal is. Tell me where you'd like to be at the end of 2019. So if you were doing your midterm plan like I'm showing you on your screen, where would you like to be in 2019? And I want you to tell me what let's just use a gross closed commission number. 200,000, 300,000, 500,000, a million, 2 million, whatever your number is, type it in. So 24 transactions, Cindy, I love that. But now tell me what that means to you in income. So 24 transactions will mean what to you in income? Doug, I love that, 150 to 200. Keep writing your numbers in there. Type in the chat button. There we go, 350, 380, here we go. 150. Annie, I love it. You want to grow your vacation rentals to 150 doors. I love that. 250, 200. Keep throwing your numbers in there. Good, Rosanna. 360. Jason, okay, very good. So as you put your numbers in here and you're thinking about where it is you want to be a year from now, I'm going to ask you to get out of your comfort zone a little bit. I'm going to ask you to push yourself a little bit. What if I told you that your number is not the number you typed, but your real number is double that number? Everybody type in your double number. So if you put 150, it's now 300. If you put 360, it's now 620. If you put in 100, it's 200, 200. And there you go. Now, I'm going to give you one more thing. So I've told you to put in your double number. Jason, I love it. He says, I already doubled mine. Well, I love it. Okay, so you put your double number in there, but now I'm going to have you do something completely different. You ready? What if I told you that you have to hit 100% of your goal or you don't get any of it? Meaning you either get your double number or you get nothing. How would your behavior change in 2019? So either you're going to make 500,000, Laura, or you're going to get zero. Mark, you're going to make $500,000, you're going to get nothing. Kim, $700,000 or you don't get paid. If you got up every day and you worked like your life depended on it, that you're going to get all of it or you get none of it, how would that change your behavior? Because that's how I want you to start thinking differently about your business and your life. The only difference between somebody making $1 million this year and 100,000 is not the quality of the individual. The difference is the activities they focus on. If you're in an area, Cheryl, where there's no inventory, I would tell you that for me, if I wanted to increase my income, I would expand my area. So if the opportunity is not in the area that I am, I have to expand my area. That's where I focus on. And then Jason asked a great question. He says, okay, so if I have to double and I'm going to get 100% of it or none of it, where would you focus? Everybody write this down. 100% on listings. What if I told you that you have to hit your double volume and you can only count income from listings? Unless you're a buyer's agent, then you can do buyers. But if you are an agent who does both or a team leader, I want you to do 100% of your double number with listings. Now, there's other things that will happen as a result of that, but what's happening is I'm getting you to start looking at the world differently. You're starting to think, okay, so is it possible we make 700,000? What would that do in numbers? How many transactions is that? And then we work backwards into it. So I'd like you to write down 5 years from now in your business plan, and I'm going to give this to you. Where would you like your business to be? A year from now, at the end of 2019, that's your double number. And to be on track 6 months from now, what has to be going on in your business to get there? And so you just write it down. Where do you want to be financially? And then we're going to figure out, I'm going to show you how to figure that out so that you can get there a little bit faster. So you're going to write it down. You're going to have to figure out the number of units it takes. Now, does anybody want to play with me for just a minute? Let's have a little bit of fun. So Kim has a number of 700. And so Kim, I just want you to do the math in the chat bar with me. So how many sales do you need to have, how many closings in 2019 in order to make $700,000? What's the number? Can you type the number in? Just give me your average sales price. And I'm picking Kim because she just happens to be the one in the middle of my screen. There's lots of you that are participating. So the average sales price is $6,000. So let's take 700,000 divided by 6,000. What's our number? It's 116 listings. Okay, so 116 listings, that's not even a big number. That's like one good listing partner should be able to do that for you, but 116 listings. And so how many appointments, Kim, do you have to go on in order to get a listing? So when you go on a listing appointment, what percent of those would you actually get? Oh, 95%. Okay, so I love Kim's number. So Kim, if you get 95% of the listing appointments you go on, that means you're not going out with enough strangers. And so we got to get you into the mode where you're prospecting and going out with people that aren't already in your database. So we've got to expand your market if we're going to get to that number. And so you're going to do some activities to generate 116 listings. I'm going to say that you only get 75%. And so you have to go on 150 appointments this year in order to get 116 closings. How does that sound? So let's take 150 and divide it by 12 months, and that's only 12.5 appointments this year. So 12.5 appointments a month. So 12.5 divided by 4 is 3 appointments a week. So let me ask you this. If you got up every morning and you were intensely obsessed with getting listing appointments, I don't even care about getting the listings. All you do is focus on, I am not going to eat, drink, or sleep until I get 3 appointments a week. Is it possible to create 3 opportunity or listing appointments a week for you, Kim? Can you do it? Okay, with all caps, she says yes. All I need you to do is 3 listing appointments a week. So what's happened is you went from a regular goal of 350, you doubled it to 700, and then we worked backwards into what it's going to take to get there, and all you need is 3 appointments a week. So now we got to figure out how many calls do you need to make a day in order to get an appointment? What if the number was 50? If you have to make 50 calls, and every 50 calls you get an appointment, you could call for-sale owners, expired, you could call divorce attorneys, probate attorneys, you could call builders. There's all kinds of opportunities out there. Once you understand how many dials it takes to have a conversation, how many conversations it takes to get an appointment, all you have to do is duplicate the activities that generate the result that you want. Now, is anybody else besides Kim getting excited about their number? I can see Kim getting excited in her little chat because of her exclamation points that she believes she can do it. The key is to write it down and then figure out the activities that it's going to take to get there. The next thing I want you to do is, and this is all part of the business plan, I'm going to give you the downloadable document where you're going to be able to download my entire business plan that we use with our 7-figure teams, but I want to share with you a couple of key things on how to get it. So the next thing I want you to do is I want you to do a SWOT analysis. The SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. This is where we identify what do you do that makes you unique? What is your unfair competitive advantage? What makes you better than everybody else? What is your true strengths? Mine would be, I would say things like knowledge of the market, experience, database, technology savvy, a fierce negotiator. I treat other agents with respect. Those are all strengths. Weaknesses might be attention to detail. I don't have any money. I hate accounting. I say yes too much, and so time management's an issue. So whatever your weaknesses are, you write those down. Those are personal to you. So on the left-hand side of the SWOT analysis, over the S button, you write the word internal, And over the O button, you write external. What are the opportunities that you see out there that you're currently not taking advantage of? What are your opportunities? So for me, the opportunities would be things like for sub-buy owners, working my database better, starting a geographic farm, door knocking, open houses. There are so many ways of generating opportunities. What I want to do is I want you to identify the opportunities you're currently not taking advantage of in your business. Now, I'm not saying you're going to do them all, but I want you to at least identify them and be really clear with what they are. So we know our strengths, we know our weaknesses, we know the opportunities. Now, this is probably different than what you're expecting me to say. I want you to focus on identifying the opportunities that exist in the market that you can apply your strengths to so you can get a higher return on your time investment. So what are the opportunities that I can give my personal attention to that will give me the highest return on my time? And with your weaknesses, are you ready for this? I want you to outsource them, delegate them, give them to somebody else who's better at those things than you. Why focus on them? You already suck at it, so why focus on it? So if you don't have a strong attention to detail, but you love doing the deals in real estate, get a really good admin or outsource to a client care coordinator, someone virtually that can do the details of the business. Let them focus on it so you can spend more time doing the things that move the needle to getting to your double goal. Does that make sense, everybody? Are you guys all with me? So we focus on our strengths, apply them to the opportunities that are out there. We delegate or outsource the weaknesses. The threats are the things that you need to be aware of, but I don't want you to spend any time on. Paying attention to the market, interest rates going up, increased number of agents coming in there, new business models, discounters, buy my house offer situations, offer pad, things like that. Be aware of the threats, know how to message to them, but there's no action on them. We don't run our business because of fear. What we do is we control what we can control and focus on our strengths and our opportunities to apply them to get us the greatest return on our time. My gosh, I love this time of year because we're thinking about what's going to happen in 2019. But you're already kind of late, meaning that if you haven't already built your plan and you're not already doing this, you're behind. So let's get on it. All right, so the next thing I want you to do is I want you to, when you get your business plan, there's a lot of pages in it. There's a specific page called the Goal Achievement System. Now, this is a system that I've been using for a lot of years, and we use this to do a couple of things. The first thing we do is we have you write your income goal. And so this could be very similar to what Kim's is. So Kim, your goal is 700,000 gross or 500 net. Maybe it's a little bit less than that on the net. Whatever that is, you write the number down. Can I ask you a question? I'm going to ask you to be, I want you to be a little bit vulnerable with me. If you were to do $700,000 in income, what kind of an impact would that make on your family or your life? What is the why behind being willing to do the activities that'll get you there? What's your real why? Don't give me the fake one. I want the deep reason. How would that impact your family? What kind of a difference would it really make? I know Kim's thinking about it. I'm waiting for her to type her answer into the chat bar. Anybody can type their why in here. I'd like you to tell me your real why, because as your coach, if you're working with me and I'm helping develop you, I cannot get you to do the hard things if I don't know why it's important to you to succeed. So Doug, what's your real why? Sophie, what's your real why? Jason, what's your real why? Mark, what is it that gets you up in the morning? What can I use that will drive you to do the real thing? So Tad, I love that you wrote down freedom, but I want you to be way more specific. Freedom from what? Financial freedom? You want to get out of debt? Or you haven't, if for me it's debt, I want to say I need to pay off $100,000 worth of debt because it causes stress on my marriage. And I want to eliminate the financial stress that's in my marriage. That's a real why. Debt is not a real why. The things that happen to you because of the issues in your family because of debt is a real why. Does that make sense? I want to control my time. So Tad, so you believe that by selling more, you're going to have freedom to control your time? I want to get deeper than that. What are you going to do with your time? You want more time to do what? Roseanne, when you say financial security for my family, what does that mean? What does that mean? Does that mean you've got your children's colleges all paid for? You're buying an investment house for each year until you retire in real estate? What does financial security mean to you? So you got to be really specific on what that means and give me a real number. Otherwise, it's just fluffy BS. Can I say that without hurting anybody's feelings? I want you to get real. Residual income, George or Doug, you got to be specific. I need $10,000 a month. Cleve Gaddis, one of my coaches out of Atlanta, Georgia, he continues to buy real estate and then rent it out. And his goal is to have an X number of clients with passive income every month so that if he stops working, he can maintain his lifestyle. Jim Knowlton, my director of coaching, says the same thing. He's 3 houses away from being able to retire and not sell real estate at all and maintain the lifestyle he has. That's exactly what people want to do with their income. So when you think about what your goals are and you're filling out this goal achievement system, don't give me the fluffy standard church answers. Give me the real core motivating why. And if you'll give me the real why and you really share it with someone as an accountability partner that really wants to help you succeed, that's when the magic happens, and that's when things really start to change in your business. I'll tell you the next thing is when you do your goal achievement system, you put your goal in, you put the why of why it's important, and then I want you to identify in advance the excuses you're going to give your coach for failure when you don't hit that goal. So what are the excuses that you used last year when you didn't hit your goal this year or the year before? What are the excuses you use for failure? And let's identify them in advance. And then I want you to create a resolve for each one of those excuses. And then we're going to build an action plan worksheet. I think I have another slide where I'll show you what the action plan worksheet looks like as we execute on those action items. It's in the business plan. So we get down to the absolute minute details if you want to find success. The next thing I want you to do when you get your business plans is I want you to fill out the personal objectives. I believe that no other success can compensate for failure in the home. And if I help you get to where you're making $500,000 or $750,000 or $1 million a year, but we do it at the expense of your family, or we do it at the expense of your faith or your friends or your fun or your fitness, then the money doesn't matter. I believe that no other success can compensate for failure in the home. And so we have to put in perspective why we're doing things and make sure we do the right things in the right priority. If you create balance in the first 5 areas, it'll have the most massive impact on your finances. Family, faith, friends, fun, and fitness, when in balance, all have a massive impact on your finances. The next thing I want to tell you is that, before I move on, Maria, I love that you put in, Maura put in her motivators of what her real why was, that she wants to donate to charity. I have a client in California who is, he'll do, he's got a pretty big business and runs a good team, and his goal was to give away $1 million. And so they take 10% off the top of every transaction, and it gets donated to one of 5 local charities. When you talk to Anthony about how much he's donated, he doesn't want to tell you. What he wants to tell you is how many Make-A-Wish children have been granted wishes. He wants to tell you how many people are no longer homeless as they're working to eradicate homelessness. He wants to tell you how many pets have been adopted into the pet rescue program. So he has 5 charities, each one. So the focus isn't money. The focus is changing lives and making an impact on the communities that we serve. So Maura, I love that you want to donate, but I want you to be really specific on what that means to you. All right, now let's go down to where we talk about your business plan. Now I'm going to go back to where we talked about, let's see, I'm looking on my sheet here for my agent with the goals. Okay, Kim. So Kim, we set a goal we needed 150 appointments this year. It's not even that many. It's only 3 a week. So we're going to get 3 appointments a week for the rest of the year. In order to hit the 3 a week, this is the secret to success that we do. In order to get to 3 a week, what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask you to come up with 4 specific pillars that you're going to focus on. And I want to make sure that each pillar has the ability to generate 4 appointments a week. 4 appointments a week, 4 different ways. So FSBOs could be one, geographic farming could be another, expireds, sphere of influence and past clients, you're only allowed to work 4. So in order for it to be one of your pillars, it has to be a significant enough pillar to generate 4 appointments a week. So what do you think will happen? I'm asking this to everybody. If you identify 4 pillars of income and you work all 4 of them as if they have to accomplish 100% of your goal, what do you think is going to happen at the end of the year? Where do you think you're going to find yourself? This is where you type in your answers. Yeah, I will have exceeded my goals. Bill, that's exactly right. Hey, Bill. James says, hopefully above my goal. Not hopefully. Not hopefully. If you execute on all 4 pillars, you're not going to hopefully get. You'll be above it. Kim, you'll be the expert in all the pillars, but you will have doubled your double goal. So you will have gone way beyond what you planned on. The reason we help people and the reason we help our agents and teams get to 7 figures is because we help them expand what they believe is possible, and we help you figure out the roadmap of what it's going to take to get there. Sorry, wrong way. So the next thing we want to do is we want to make sure that we have an action plan worksheet for every single one of our goals. You should have 5 business goals and 5 personal goals with all of the things that have to happen and then the due date of when you're going to get it done. For our team leaders that are in coaching with us, what we do in a coaching environment is we actually take all of your goals and we move them into what we call an agile project manager, and we break down all of those projects that you're going to execute on this year. We give them a priority date in the far left date, the project, the goal, who's going to do it, when it's going to be done by, and we track the activities that actually make it happen. Does it really work? I mean, what do you think? When you start breaking things down to the ridiculous and you figure out the activities you have to do today, does it really work? Does it really make a difference? The answer is yes. Let me introduce you to my good friend, Christy Buck. Christy Buck, I met at a seminar in Texas, and Christy came to a seminar, and she sat on the front row. I got done doing a business plan like I talked to all of you today. We talked about what's going to happen, if you set your goals, and she says, you know what, I've been at the same place for so long, I need to move, and I really want you to help me. And I said, I'm not really looking for new clients today. And she says, I didn't ask you if you were looking. I need you to be my coach. And I says, well, I want you to fill out an evaluation and tell me a little bit who you are. These are excerpts from her real survey. How long have you been in business? 11 to 20 years. Tell me about your best and worst years. 25,000 to 150. She says, I really don't have any tracking system, so this is a good guess. What was your net income over the last 12 months? Could be 150, it could be 175. I really don't know. It's also an estimate. Do you see a thread happening here? I said, where does your business come from? She gave that to me. I said, what are the 5 things you spend most of your time doing? And I want you to look at this list, because the way she answered the question is really important. The 5 things I spend my time doing is negotiating, setting appointments, preparing for appointments, reviewing each files to complete the tasks, and then making a list of things and then doing them. When you look at this, how many of those things should you be focused on? Number 1 for sure, and maybe number 2. Everything else should be delegated. What single activity do you think is the most important thing you do in your business? It's just keeping business in the pipeline. All right, so I want you all to think about that. How many of you agree with number 18? The most important thing we do in real estate is find new business. That's the hard part of real estate. Real estate transactions, that's not the hard part. The hard part is client acquisition. It's her number 1 most important thing. So the next question is how many hours a day do you prospect? And she said, none. And I said, how many days a week do you prospect? She said, I don't want to talk about it. Stop asking me hard questions. I said, what's your most urgent business problem? She says, I need to build my foundation correctly, and I want to build my business at the same time. I said, what do you want to earn? What's your big, hairy goal? What's your double goal? She says, I just want to make $500,000. I said, okay, how stable is your income? She tells me her number. Now, this is really interesting. I said, do you live within your means? She says, yes, I do. I said, what actions could you take that would double your current income? She says, well, I could farm more. How much of a priority is making more money? She says, it's really high. And then this is an important question. If this resonates with any of you, I want you to just recognize that. And I asked her, I said, Christy, what holds you back financially? And she said, the fear of spending more money in order to make more money. And then this was the reason I ended up taking her on as a client. I said, Christy, do you have ample time for your family and non-business activities? And she said, no. I feel like I never have time to stop working and be a mom. I feel like if I'm not working, I might not make ends meet. So I work about 13 hours a day. Now, I don't know how any of you feel about that or what, if that resonates with you, but I think with most people it does. And then I asked, do you have a written strategic business plan? She said, nope. How do you organize your daily activities? She says, I just make a list every morning and I go to work. And I said, what holds you back right now? She says, it's lack of systems. And then my favorite question of all is I asked Christy, I said, what would you like Verl to know about you before you meet with him? And she says, help, just to help me. I need it all. And so that was the beginning in 2012 of me working with this young lady, Christy Bach. Now, the first thing I did with Christy is I said, Christy, I want to know where your business comes from. And she says, well, wait a minute, what do you mean? I said, where does your business come from? She says, well, from marketing. I said, marketing is not a lead source. What marketing works? She says, well, people just say, I see you everywhere. So we created a lead tracker and we started tracking every lead that comes in from every source. This is her 2013 lead tracker. This is her 2017 lead tracker. You notice how many more lead sources there are, and you notice the listing lead count. It goes to Michelle and Kenny. Christy's is not doing all the transactions anymore. Now let me show you what her business looks like at the end of 2018. So by the end of 2018, the number I want you to look at is this. These are the number of closed transactions per month. These are the number of total volume by month. And then this is her commissions earned by month. You remember her big goal was she wanted to make 500,000. This month she made 100,000, 103, 203, 311, 262, 247, 232, 221, 216, and 255. That's so far this year. So this will be her best year ever in real estate as a result of following the business plan that I just shared with you and then executing around those priorities. The numbers are real. They come right out of her thing. When you ask Christy, you say, Christy, what is it that made the big impact? She'll say, we track everything. I know how many leads Michelle got. Michelle got 382 leads. She had 41 closings and a 10.7% conversion rate. Melanie had 412 leads with a 8%. Melissa, 15%. Lori, a 5.6%. Mona had a 14%. And the listing team had 115 closings and converted 150% of the listing leads that came into the business. When you start tracking the activities that generate the results, you start to get clarity. When we look at the details of all of our different lead sources, I can tell you where the leads come from, what we're spending on the leads, and what the potential return of that investment is on the lead source. This is all done in our Google Trackers. It's part of our standard coaching program. And so we help people by helping them set up and track the right activities to give you the right results. Now, I'm going to give you some of this stuff a little bit later when we get to that slide. So how many of you feel like if you started tracking your business and your leads and your follow-up the way Christy is, you would probably have a better year next year than you did this year? Right. I love the absolutes and for sure. Okay, so you know you're supposed to do it. You know you've been supposed to do it all along, but you're not currently doing it, so we have to change something. I believe that massive action generates or creates a massive result. We have to have a massive action if we want a massive result. We know the conversion road. We know what we're converting from Zillow, from Boomtown, from ProQuest. We know what comes from our relationship with Sphere. We know what comes from each of the individual members of the team, and we track it all at the highest level. Now, we promised you in the marketing of this webinar that I would give you the difference and I would help you understand the difference between lead generation and lead conversion. What do you think is more important of those two things? Lead generation or lead conversion? What do you think? With most people, if I were to ask you what your most urgent business problem is, you'd say, I need more leads. If I had more leads, then I'd do more deals. I'm going to challenge that by saying if I were to go in and really look at what you do with the opportunities that come in your business, you probably don't do a very good job converting the opportunities that come in. And if you say, yes, I do, I'll say, great, show me how you track it. And if you can't show me how you track everything and you don't have a system in place for conversion, I'm going to tell you your most urgent business problem is not lead generation, but it's the conversion system. Hey, would you guys like me to give you a conversion system? I'm going to give you the whole system, how we do it, and why we get a high conversion of our lead sources. I'm going to give it to you right now. You ready? You first have to understand the difference between an A lead, a B lead, and a C lead, okay? And so an A lead is someone who's ready to buy or sell right now. You always have an appointment with them. So the way that we identify an A lead is we have them scheduled as an appointment. You go out and show houses on Saturday and they say, well, call me next week. There's none we want to make an offer on. Is that an appointment? No. You say, you want to go to the beginning of the week or the end of the week? They say the end of the week. I say, you want to go Monday or Tuesday? They say Tuesday. You say morning or afternoon. They say afternoon. You say 1 to 3. They say 3. So an A lead is someone who you schedule an appointment with. We teach all of our agents to schedule the next appointment. A couple things happen. So psychologically, what it does is it keeps the buyer or the seller in the mode of you moving them forward in the process. And so if you're always scheduling the next appointment, it doesn't leave a lot of room in your schedule for looky-loos. If they refuse to schedule an appointment or they're not ready to go for 30 to 90 days, we then tag them in our CRM or our database as a B lead. A B lead is someone who's not ready to go for 30 to 90 days. What we're going to do is we're going to call them twice a month during the weeks that the 1st falls in and the week that the 15th falls in. So we're going to call them twice a month during the weeks of the 1st and the 15th. Now, what are you going to say to these people? Are you guys ready for the dialogue? Here's what you're going to say. Hi, this is Verl. I'm just calling to make sure I'm not dropping the ball. Are you getting the properties that the system's sending out automatically? Is there anything you'd like me to change in the search? Or are there any properties you'd like to get inside of? I ask questions to increase the engagement and to provide a higher level of service. I don't try and close them or tell them they have to sign an agreement. We do that when we're face-to-face. My goal with a B lead is to have great scripts and dialogue that I follow every single time so that I can move them forward and get face-to-face. I believe that most of you are amazing when you get face-to-face. You just need more opportunities to be face-to-face. So we're going to call them twice a month during the weeks of the 1st and 15th. We're always going to start by saying, hi, this is Verl. I'm just making sure I'm not dropping the ball. A C lead is someone who's 90 days or longer out. So they could be a year out, a year and a half out, it doesn't matter. With our C leads, we're going to call them once a month during the week that the 8th falls in. Now, a C lead is different than a B lead. A B lead, we're trying to get an appointment with our lender to come out and look at properties. A C lead is the same thing. The dialogue that we use for a C lead is exactly the same as I use for a B lead. Hi, this is Verl. I'm just making sure I'm not dropping the ball. I'm just going to keep you up sending properties. Anything you'd like me to expand the search? Or are there any properties you'd like to see inside of? Nope. All right, I'll talk to you in the next 30 days. It's an easy touch base. Make sure I'm doing things the way you want. We call the A leads who have an appointment. B leads we call twice a month during the weeks that the 1st and the 15th falls on. And then we call our C leads the week of the 8th. And then we work our sphere of influence or our database during the week of the 22nd. This is a system. My question to you is, how much better is this system than the one you're currently not following? That's a good one. Think about it. Just follow the system. You want to know why Christy goes from $250,000 to $2.5 million? It's because everything in her business today is a system. We teach our agents, we teach our teams how to scale and how to create leverage in their business. Think about that for a minute. I want you to create leverage. As a matter of fact, I'd like to introduce you to our Leverage 19 experience in Scottsdale, Arizona. So our Leverage 18 experience, I don't know where you live, but for most of us, I live in Salt Lake City, Utah. We chose Arizona and Scottsdale in January for a reason. It's early in the year, and this is our team summit. What's going to happen at the Leverage experience is we bring all of our clients and teams in from all over the country, and we really teach them. It's like the greatest mastermind of excellence ever in the country. We bring all of these people in together. For example, on the first day, we're doing team building events. We're doing team games where we're doing how to build your team culture. What are the activities that bring your team together? And your team could be your mortgage company, your title company, your inspector, your broker, your buyer's agent. It could be however you define a team, but we're bringing in one of the world's leading experts on building teams, and that's Kirk Weisler. Kirk's going to be there the first day. The second day, the author of one of my favorite books, The Fred Factor, is going to talk about creating amazing client experiences. One of our focuses for Leverage 19 is we're working with our clients and teams on how to elevate their business in 2019. So how do you elevate your client experience? How do you elevate your transactions? How do you elevate your net profit? And we're going to give you the skills mastery and the specific systems and programs on how the elite are actually doing it. So if you want to rub shoulders with some of the greatest agents and teams in the world, Christy Buck will be there, and a bunch of our other great clients sharing with you how they've created a culture that reduces turnover, increases production, and decreases the amount of time you spend working in your business. Then Leverage Night Team is the event. Now, for this webinar, since a lot of you are hearing about Workman Success Systems for the first time, we are giving you a special deal. And this is something we're only going to do today. Matter of fact, I don't even like to do discounts on this event because it's an expensive event just to break even on, and I want to make sure we provide a high-level experience. But our marketing team came and said, look, just give us today, bro. Give me one opportunity to share something with the people that participate in the webinar. So this is what I'm going to do. Tickets to the Leverage event are $8.99. For those of you that enroll in Leverage today, and it ends at midnight, and then the landing page is going to go away, go to leverage19.com, you can save $200 off on your ticket for you and for your team members. And I promise you, it will be a not only business-changing, but life-changing event. If you're not quite sure and you want a little bit more information about Leverage, then go to the landing page that's on your screen right here. It's bit.ly/leverageinfo. Fill out the form, and then one of my team will call you and give you the answers to the questions you have on Leverage. It's in Scottsdale, Arizona. All the information's on the landing page, and we're going to help you with that. So that's the promotion. Now let me share with you how to create more leverage in your life. Would y'all like to know how we hire talent and how we find great people and how we create that leverage in our business and our life? Would you like me to go into that? All right. So you say yes, I'll say okay. So the first thing is you have to have a system for everything. So I want you to write this down. Anything you duplicate 3 times, I want you to create a system for it. If you do it 3 times, I want you to create a system. So I'm going to give you the example of hiring a support staff. We call it a client care coordinator. And so we have a checklist, an entire system for hiring your client care coordinator. Let me give you a few of those things. The first thing we do is we do a lot of things on Indeed.com. We've written the job description, the contract, the compensation program, the onboarding, and the training of every position on a team, including client care coordinator, listing partner, buyer's agent, administrative assistant, sales manager. We have one for an ISA, and we also have one for a showing assistant. And so it doesn't matter what position you're hiring for, we have the solution to give you the checklist to do that. With a client care coordinator, the first thing we want them to do is we want them to go into Indeed and we say, submit your resume, and you need to send a PDF version of your resume to this email address. And then we want you to call and leave a voicemail as to why you'd be good for this position. Now, I know that seems kind of weird, but we want, first of all, to know that they can follow instructions. Number 2 is we want to make sure that someone getting hired for an administrative or a client care coordinator is tech savvy enough to be able to convert their Word document resume into a PDF. And then the third thing, since they're my director of first impression, I want them to leave a voicemail as to why they'd be good for this position. If they don't sound good on the phone and they don't sound like the image that I want to project, then I'm never going to let that person answer my phone. And so I want to make sure that they are able to answer the phone with the same kind of enthusiasm and energy that I want. The next thing we have them do is we have them fill out our application that's very specific to us, and then they go online and do both a DISC and a motivators assessment. In the DISC motivators assessment, we take them through and we look at, are they a high driver? Are they an interactor, life of the party? Are they amiable and more conservative? And what's their likelihood to have a high attention to detail? We look at all of those things. We don't hire and fire to DISC. However, we do use them as part of the process going through the interview process. So it's not an eliminator, but it definitely is a guideline that we follow. Then we always do a phone interview and have a conversation with them. If they pass the phone interview, then we bring them in for a face-to-face interview with the team. Once they've interviewed with the team and the team accepts them as a new hire, then they can talk to the team leader. And then if you're a coaching client, your coach would then do the final interview, and then we would select them and bring them in. Here's an example of what a DISC motivators might look like. So here's 2 different positions on the team. Now, because I used Christy Buck earlier as an example, let me do it again. And so at the top one, this is Christy. Christy is a super high D and a super high I. That means she's a driver that wants to get stuff done. She has a very low attention to detail. If you look at her C, she's a good person to have on the team, but she's going to be a bulldozer when it comes time to getting stuff done. If you look at the screen to the right of hers, these are her drivers or her motivators. Now, if you understood Christy's background and where she comes from a place of poverty, and she never wants to go back to that. So her economic driver is really high. That means that she is motivated for success, and she's a high D. That high D and that high economic driver tells me this is someone that is going to be fun to work with because she's not going to let failure be an option. The other thing I look at the areas in the right that are the squares, and I look for anomalies, meaning if they're outside the norm. So the light shaded square in the middle, that's where most of the population fits. So I look for areas where they're really high or where they're really low, and then we work on understanding what motivates and drives someone. Now, if you look at Samantha, who is Christy's office manager, Samantha's disc is below, and so is her motivators. So her disc is, look at her C compared to Christy's. She is a freak of nature when it comes to paying attention to the details. She will not go to bed at night if her check sheet isn't done. And that's who I want in the position of client care coordinator or office manager. Her S means that she is highly amiable. She's going to make sure everybody gets a birthday card on their birthday. She wants everyone to feel like they're included in the team. She is a great buffer between the team members and the team leader because of her higher S. And we've been working with Samantha on developing her D as she's in a leadership role. The other things that you have to watch for when you look at someone's disc motivators is, I love that Samantha also has a high economic motivator or driver, but look where her theoretical is. So her brown on the far right at 71 means that she can oftentimes theorize or get too analytical, and that would give her an inability to make a decision. And so analysis paralysis with a high C is something that's likely, and you have to watch that. It's not a reason I wouldn't hire her. It's just something that I'm going to address in the interview, and I'm going to get familiar with who she is. Understanding who people are and then adjusting your communication style is the highest form of respect. When you look at this disc motivator, what do you guys think? Is this something that would be helpful for you in attracting and finding people? How many of you are looking at this and say, hey, I want my spouse to take it? I want to take this. I want my spouse to take it so I can see what we live together. I'll tell you that my wife and I are actually very different, but we complement each other really well. And they say opposites attract. It's interesting because when you do a disc motivators test, it's a 49-page report that literally goes through and breaks down how to talk to someone and how to respond to them. And when you have someone that has highs or lows in these areas, these are the things that will motivate them and help drive them. So it's a really high form of communication. And when you become a master at understanding how to identify who people are, and then you communicate to them in a way that is helpful, that makes a big difference. So Jacqueline, you said you're not trying to build a team right now. I'm going to say that it doesn't matter. We're all teams. And so if you understand this when you're dealing with a buyer and you know what their personality type is, you'll communicate differently. When you're sitting with a seller and you know what their style is, you'll communicate differently. And so what we do is we teach you how to understand the tendencies of people in the different areas and then communicate with them in a way that's comfortable for them. And so we're all teams. You don't have to build some big, massive team. All you have to do is understand that there are tools in place to help you grow to whatever size business you want. And nobody should tell you what kind of size business you should have. It's really up to you. And some people are just trying to slow down. They just want to catch their breath. The next thing that happens when we are helping an agent or we're helping an agent try and grow in their business, we created what's called a daily success habits tracker. This is something we're also going to give to you, and you'll be able to download this, and it's a fillable PDF where you set a goal each day of getting 61 points. The way that you get points is by doing dollar productive activities. The 61 points of rhythm in the calls and emails and notes are focused on looking for new business. So what are the activities that you have to do today as you're looking for new business? And we track them. Did you prospect? How many calls did you make? When you have a call, you put a hash mark in it. When you have a conversation, you make it into an X. If it takes 11 calls to have a conversation, 30 calls to have an appointment, I know that every day if I need whatever numbers I need, I know exactly what I need to be able to get to my goal. So The key in the Daily Success Habits Tracker is to work backwards from your income goal and figure out the activities that it's going to take to get there. Now, I want you to look at this for just a second. On the left-hand side right here, as you look at the left-hand margin, we ask all of our agents that are with us to track what they actually do in 30-minute increments. When we start tracking what we do in 30-minute increments, what do you think you discover? Does anybody want to guess at what you discover when you track things in 30-minute increments? What we discover, ladies and gentlemen, is how little time we spend doing dollar productive activities. And it's not so that we can hold you accountable. It's so that you can discover for yourself that if you're going to be away from your kids, your spouses, your significant others, you might as well get the highest return on your time or just stay home. What we help you do is get clarity on what to focus on during your day so that every day is a better day and a successful day. When you hire a new administrative assistant, we look at our excuses for failure. Do you remember earlier on today when I showed you the goal and I said the why and I said identify your excuses for failure and create a resolve? Well, when we hire an administrative assistant, what happens is the administrative assistant gets hired, but the agent is so busy doing the business, they don't take time to train them properly. So we created a program called Admin Mastery. And you can hire an assistant now. You don't even have to be in coaching with us. You can go subscribe to our training center, and then your admin can go through, and we teach them how to build your operations model, how to set up your database, how to understand the value of a client, what to do with that client. It's 66 sessions on how to create an exceptional client care coordinator like we did with Christy. Inside that AND program are a lot of our trackers and systems and things that you need that I've shown you on this webinar. If you're hiring a buyer's agent, we've completed the entire Buyer Agent Mastery program. It's 16 sessions that goes over 2 months where we teach your buyer's agents what to say, how to say it, how to answer the phones, and how to get the response that will give them the greatest result. I love the Buyer Agent Mastery programs. Every Thursday, all of our buyer's agents all over the country dial in and we practice scripts and dialogues. And we actually role play what to say when somebody calls. We teach them the LP Mama script, the Ford script, and others. And then for those of you that want to crank your listings up, imagine being in a room with agents that are doing 300, 400 listings a year. Would you like to know what they do? What is their pre-listing package? What does their premium marketing program look like? What are the tactics they use that's all in SLAM? Well, all of these agents and all of these high performers will be on the stage at Leverage 19 in Scottsdale, Arizona. And so you can go in and learn from them in a training program, or you can sit with them and ask them the questions that you're just yearning to know, from how to create a team that has a great culture, how to compensate correctly, how to build the right kind of energy, and how to scale your business to the next stratosphere. To download the business plan that I promised I'd give you, plus some additional free giveaways, go to workmansuccess.com/future. If you want to make sure that you can save $200 and earn thousands more next year, join us at Leverage 19. What I'd like to do is I'd like to take a few minutes now. I've given you an enormous amount of information in a short period of time, and I would like to just give you access to Verl. When you come to Leverage 19, we have a regular experience and we have a premium experience where you actually get to have breakfast with our speakers and greater access to our master level coaches as well as myself. I would like to give you the opportunity to ask me any question. And so take a minute right now and go into your chat and just ask the questions. What are the things that you'd really like some help with in your business right now? And I'll spend the last few minutes just sharing with you the things that I would do if you were with us at Leverage or you were one of our private clients. So what are some of the things that you would like to know? I'm giving you a second to type in the questions. One of the questions I get all the time is, when should I hire my first assistant? That's a great one, isn't it? When should I hire my first assistant? I'm going to tell you, here's the answer. What time is it? The day you get in real estate is the day you should hire your first assistant, okay? That's what we do. So the day you get into real estate, any hour you spend doing administrative tasks, I cannot take you to the place where you're making $1 million a year. And so you go through the hiring process, and we show you all of the steps one by one on how to hire that next assistant or your first assistant. If you don't have the money to do it and you're trying to figure out how to create leverage, then I can share with you what I would do is I would find a virtual assistant or a transaction coordinator, and I would charge them I would pay on a per transaction basis. Okay, questions are coming in good right now. Okay, here's another one that says, what CRM or lead routing program do you use? Those are two different questions. CRM is relationship management, and lead routing is how do I move leads from one thing to the next. And so we have a couple of different primary clients, or what I call strategic partners. CRM, the best CRM for a team is a company called RealVolve, R-E-A-V-O-L-V-E. RealVolve is one of the strongest, best automation programs in real estate, especially if you're doing a team. For lead distribution, we use a high volume lead generator like Boomtown, or we would use something like Commissions Inc. We use both of those, and we have a lot of clients using 5 Street. So those are both good questions. Let me answer a couple other questions. Do you have any agents using your systems to train virtual assistants? We do, actually. We actually have an entire virtual assistant company that trains their virtual assistants in our AMP program, so that when agents sign up for their care, they follow the systems that we teach in our admin mastery program, and that's a great way to do that. None of the tools in our training programs are written for the purpose of selling them. Yes, we sell them, but we wrote them because our clients are hiring people and they needed the best training. So they're tools that are designed to actually make a difference. They're not fluffy. It's like, how do you really set up your business for operational excellence so you can scale? That's how we do it. Okay, great questions. Do we still use Top Producer? So we have some clients that use Top Producer, but we've seen a big shift from Top Producer as they have not continued to develop their technology, and there's easier ways of doing things. They've purchased a lot of different companies that bolt onto it, and we're seeing a pretty large number of our clients moving from Top Producer to RealVolve, just because of the elegant nature of their technology and the results they're getting. And it's not, it's fairly similarly priced. It's just more elegant technology. It's easier to use, a lot more tutorial. It's not as clunky. So good questions. Okay, James, I love your question. James says, you said to leverage your weaknesses. One of mine is inconsistent contact with my sphere and social media posting. Do you suggest contracting that out? So I'm going to tell you, that's a really good question. So James, I'm going to tell you a couple things. One is that one of the experts on database marketing and really capitalizing on your sphere of influence, social media and personal, is a gal by the name of Terry Murphy. And Terry Murphy is one of the leading experts in real estate on working your sphere and building your database and creating leverage in it with systems. And she wrote a series of action plans on what to do with your database. She is one of our featured speakers at Leverage 19. I'll be sharing a lot of that with you. And also in the Buyer Agent Mastery Program, there's a session called 8651, which is how to close 86 transactions a year, working with 50 people 1 hour a day. So I don't think I would outsource all of my database activities. I would automate several of them, and then I would make sure you're calling through your top 50 once a month and having a personal touch. Great questions, and I hope you appreciate it. I'm just giving you straight answers. Let's see. Jacqueline says, technology aside, I'm trying to transition to full time. How much do I need to bank before I transition? So Jacqueline, that's really related to what your nut is every month to crack. I'm going to tell you that whatever you're making working, let's say it's $50,000 a year, I would say that until you bite the bullet and just dive into real estate, you'll never get the return on your time. So it's very hard to build up enough cash. And so another way to look at the business, and I'm just going to suggest that you look at it this way. I would suggest you joining somebody else's team that already has a lot of leads coming in, and quit your job and go full-time into real estate with a high producer in your market. And then you can learn the business, do lots of transactions until you're ready to either build your team within that team or do your own thing. And so I think it's crazy to go into real estate as a single agent anymore. The transaction's complicated. There are so many ways of generating leads right now. We can generate leads at any level you want in your business. The key is to put yourself in an environment where you can do what you're good at. And so if you want to, when you go to the landing page, put your information in, you want more information, tell us where you are, and then we can give you some names of the people that we coach. The other thing that you may want to consider is jump into Leverage 19 and come out and meet with some of the team leaders and team members from around the country and find out what they do with people like you who are wanting to come into the business. I will tell you, Jacqueline, that we lead with revenue, meaning that when you join one of our teams, whether it's as a team leader or a team member, we lead with revenue. We want you to get to making money fast. So what can we do to get you into income quickly? We want to lead with revenue. And I'm going to tell that, I hope you're all listening to this, we lead with revenue. We don't lead with expense. So when you come to spend time with us at Leverage, we're going to teach you how we lead with revenue. How do we get you there? Okay. Deb wants to know the question, what was the name of the system that you use rather than Top Producer? It's called RealEvolve. And I'll have my team type it in for you and put it in your notes, RealEvolve. What's my opinion for the top 2 ways for prospecting for new leads, Doug? Are you wanting buyer leads or are you wanting seller leads? So it depends on what you're doing, buyer or seller. If you're looking for seller leads, I'm going to say that you need to prospect your database first. Second is we get tons of seller leads at open houses. The third is we get a lot of leads for seller leads by knocking on doors. And I know you hate that answer, Doug, but we knock doors. I don't care if you're selling $4 million houses in the Palisades. We do open houses and we knock doors, and we get a tremendous amount of response from that. We prospect. And so those are a couple of things I'm going to tell you. You know, work your sphere, your database really strong. Go out and knock doors. We get a lot of seller leads on Facebook and retargeting and doing Facebook ads. How we generate those kinds of leads are things that we're going to do at the Leverage event. I don't have time to answer all the questions on Leverage, so there's lots of questions on the cost of the event and registration. So I'm just going to ask you to go to the landing page, log in. The ticket price, we cover breakfast, lunch on the days of the Leverage event, and you're on your own for dinner. And then that covers all of the speakers, all of the snacks, everything that happens in between. It is a top tier event. This is not a, bring a few people. There will be 500 people there, and I promise you I'll have my A game. For those of you that are being introduced to Workman Success Systems today for the very first time, I want you to know that we are serious about helping you be successful in your business, but be even more serious about helping you be successful in your life. We appreciate you being here. We look forward to getting to know you better, and I look forward to seeing you at Leverage 19. Thanks, everybody, for being on the call today. If we didn't answer your questions, go to workmansuccess.com/future, sign up for a download, or request a business consult, and we'll do everything we can to help you. Bye, everybody, and thanks for being here.